Not just a local leader, setting trends and carving a path forward in medicine and in industry worldwide. We sit down for an extended talk with the CEO at Mayo Clinic Jacksonville as he explains how Northeast Florida rides the wave of the future.
This is again the fourth industrial revolution, taking that physical, biological, and digital together and creating hope for our patients.
Plus, Wounded Warrior Project, now the focus of a Senate Judiciary Committee, the Jacksonville-based nonprofit accused of lavish spending on executives instead of veterans.
I think they deserve not just to be examined, but quite frankly, there should be consequences for that.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio locks arms with a Capitol Hill colleague, calling for more investigation on This Week in Jacksonville. For joining us on this Sunday morning. A very special This Week in Jacksonville because we're at Mayo Clinic and we're joined by Dr. Enrico Farrugia, the CEO here at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. And it's been a little bit more than a year now, since January of 2015, that you've been here in Jacksonville. Tell me about that, because I know it's a special 30-year anniversary for Mayo here in Jacksonville.
Well, thank you, Ken. This is a big deal for us. 30 years have passed for Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville in a flash. We're very proud of these 30 years.
And that builds on the heritage of more than, I guess it's 150 years now for Mayo overall.
So Mayo Clinic last year celebrated 150 years as being an academic medical center. And that heritage has been transported into Florida, and you can see it in our 30 years here.
One thing that we see is that there are advancements in medicine, but also maybe even in your campus. What are the kind of things going on here in Jacksonville? Are there new facilities or new programs? What's happening?
So everybody in medicine always thinks that the year that they currently are in is the year of massive change. That's medicine. It changes rapidly. But there's no doubt that healthcare is changing, and it's changing not only because of laws, it's also changing because of technology, and it's changing a lot because of what consumers expect from healthcare. So at Mayo Clinic, we've been investing to make sure we can really invest in being a premier destination medical center for Southeast. That is to make sure that Jacksonville is looked at as the place to come when you have a need for complex medical care.
When we spoke a moment ago off camera, I was telling you about my experience with Mayo Clinic and just the name. The name engenders some trust, I think. Is that something that you also use to bring people and make Jacksonville a medical destination, Mayo in Jacksonville, that medical destination here?
There are a remarkable number of outstanding healthcare facilities in Jacksonville and across the United States. Mayo Clinic has a reputation as being the Supreme Court of healthcare. We are there to provide you with that information that you need when you're struggling with a complex medical decision. And we're there built to be able to do it in a short amount of time and give you an accurate answer. To do that, you need to have a lot of trust. And therefore, we take a lot of care to select our doctors, our nurses, all our staff who want to come work with us and be part of this journey that is Mayo Clinic.
So, Dr. Farrugia, you'd been involved with Mayo in Rochester before you moved here to Florida. What are maybe some of the differences, and what did you learn there that you can bring here to help us?
Mayo Clinic and Rochester, which is where Mayo Clinic is in Minnesota, are synonymous. One of the differences here is that you can actually go out and people do not automatically assume that you work at Mayo Clinic, which is refreshing.
That's not the case in Minnesota?
It's not the case in Rochester, where pretty much everybody has some connection with Mayo Clinic. There are a lot of similarities. I think the people that work in Rochester and the people that work in Jacksonville and the people that work in our Arizona campuses share the same ideals. That is, put the needs of our patients first and make sure that whatever we do, we're doing it because it's in the best interest of the patient. It therefore was fairly seamless when I came here. Here's a little smaller and you can get things done a little faster, and of course I love that. But when it comes to the quality of care, when it comes to the way we do things, what's remarkable is exactly the same experience, and that's what we really want.
How do you accomplish that? Is it a matter of procedures? I have the same procedures in Minnesota or my other campuses as I have in Jacksonville.
So I got to Mayo Clinic in 1988. In any other job, I would now be one of the oldest people that have worked the longest at Mayo Clinic. I'm kind of an average, middle kind of guy. There are people who have worked at Mayo Clinic for 40, 45 years. That's the big difference. There's a culture that gets passed on from generation to generation, and that culture is what makes Mayo Clinic, in my view, a very special place.
I heard you speak recently to a big luncheon in Jacksonville, and one of the things you talked about that made Mayo special is, I guess, some of the specialties you have. What are the things that are happening here in Jacksonville that you're proud of?
So part of the ethos of Mayo Clinic is that we need to innovate. We need to innovate in order to make sure we provide what's best for our patients. And if you look at healthcare in general, healthcare tends to be a little too uneven. In the United States, we have some remarkable highs in healthcare, but we also have some lows that we have to deal with. So what we need to do is bring the lows up, while at the same time make sure that as a country, we are still innovating with the best in the world. And we have to lead the world. So to do that, we've invested in people, in space, and in technology. And we're focusing on areas like neuroscience, cardiovascular diseases, gastroenterology, transplantation, cancer, and cancer-related diseases, but in a way that makes it integrated. We really want to integrate the experience for our patients. So when you come in, you're not coming in with a diagnosis. You're coming in as a person who needs an integrated approach to their healthcare, and that can leave knowing that they have a treatment plan that they can work on for the rest of their life.
I want to hear more. I mentioned that we heard from you previously on this idea of a fourth industrial revolution. I want to talk about that in just a moment. I want you to stand by, and we're going to be right back here on This Week in Jacksonville.
Now is the best time to lease a 2016 CTS from Claude Nolan Cadillac. Drive a 2016 Cadillac CTS for just $439 a month for 36 months. And remember the Claude Nolan Edge, no dealer fees, no finance markup, saving you thousands. Come in for a test drive today.
This Sensation salad is so good. It's like change your life good.
It's you! Will you sign my book, please?
You're a best-selling author?
Who rocks a turtleneck? Ah. Oh, it's good to be me. Youth.
Life-changing? Maybe. Indescribably good? Definitely. The Sensation salad is back. Chicken fingers, crispy wonton strips, Asian slaw, honey sesame sauce, and a veggie egg roll. Only at Zaxby's.
I can remember as a child, my parents always challenging me, you stand up for what is right regardless of what other people do. And that was one of the things that have guided me all of my life. Most people feel lost. They feel like they're fighting a giant without any help, and I wanted to be that champion for them. I wanted to be their champion for justice.
At Claude Nolan Cadillac, every customer receives the Claude Nolan Edge. It's simple. No dealer fees, no finance markup, saving you thousands. Get the Edge. Save time and money and start driving your Claude Nolan Cadillac today.
Storm Pins, the new weather-sharing app. Fun family beach day? Pin it. Unexpected rainbow? Pin it. A fast-moving storm? Pin it. The Weather Authority Storm Pins, powered by Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
I love to bake cookies, pies, but especially chocolate cake. And to get it moist, like mash your fork down and it sticks to it moist, you gotta use Duke's. Oh yeah, the same Duke's mayonnaise you put on a sandwich will make your chocolate cake absolutely amazing. And when it's this rich and moist, there's no problem in the world that a big piece of chocolate cake in a glass of cold milk won't fix.
Made with the same recipe since 1917, Duke's smooth and creamy mayonnaise is the secret to great food.
We can't live like this anymore. I'm calling Turner.
Living with bugs is like living outside. Call Turner Pest Control for affordable solutions. Pest control starts at only $19.99 a month, so call now. Say your goodbyes and take your house back.
Bye, Crunchy. I'm saving almost $600 a month. That's huge.
Her secret to prescription drug savings, so big, even Dr. Oz wanted to know.
You see how passionate everyone is about this?
Monday on News 4 Jax at 5, saving you money. How this local mom is shaking up the drug industry and getting rock-bottom prices. And on News4Jax.com, the one money-saving question you never thought to ask your pharmacist. Drug deals, Monday at 5. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
And thanks for staying with us on this Sunday morning. Also staying with us, the CEO of Mayo Clinic Jacksonville, Dr. Gianrico Ferrugia. And so one of the things we wanted to talk about, I'd heard you speak about the transition to the fourth industrial revolution, and is characterized by what? This revolution somehow, right?
So by fourth, of course, that means there's a third industrial revolution we're all familiar with, which is IT, electronics. And now we're entering, really in the last 3-4 years, the fourth industrial revolution. And it's characterized by coming together of the physical, the digital, and the biological in ways that we never quite expected. There are ways that will totally change the way we interact with each other, the way we live, the way we work. It's really not about healthcare. This is about the world we live in.
This sounds a little science fiction where you're going here. So help me understand that it's reality today.
Yeah, it's really not science fiction at all. I think you see it in the things we do every day. You go online and you order something. You may order 3 things. They may come from any part of the United States or really any part of the world. From your standpoint, they came from one place. So they're just the physical and the digital have come together. Now in healthcare, that also means that there are going to be massive changes that we have to be ready as a society, certainly as Jacksonville and even as Florida, to be ready to adapt to. And I would argue that adapting is not enough. We have to lead the way. We have to shape the way. We have to make sure that a revolution results in better lives for us, rather than the revolution result in destabilizing what we know and love.
Chaos, yeah. So how do you do that, or how does Jacksonville do that, even beyond the borders of Mayo Clinic?
A lot has to do with preparing for the workforce of the future. We want to make sure in Jacksonville that we are attracting the right people to come to work in Jacksonville. If you take healthcare, that's a great example for Jacksonville because it's such an important part of our city. Healthcare in this country, 17% of GDP, that's larger than aviation, larger than defense. With such a large presence here, we really have the opportunity to attract some very interesting people to come here in Jacksonville to work with us. And that allows us then to create this new industrial revolution where we bring things together. A great example for us is transplantation. So Mayo Clinic in general is a leader not only in volumes but also in outcomes in transplantation. Here in Jacksonville, we're leading in liver and in lung, as well as other organs. Despite the fact that we do so many transplants, we just did our 3,000th liver, which is a huge deal. Every 10 minutes, somebody joins the transplant list. Every day, 22 people die waiting for a transplant. Yet our answer has always been, let's try and find more organs. Well, if you take that in the fourth industrial revolution, then you look at different ways of doing things. So one different way of doing things for us is we're constructing a building to be able to take lungs that normally would not be fit for transplantation, heal them, and then transplant them either here in Jacksonville or we send them out to the rest of the country.
Now, this sounds like a really big idea. Is it?
This is a really big idea.
Yeah.
When fully operational, we expect to wipe out the waiting list for a lung transplant. Imagine that. No longer having a waiting list for a lung transplant.
That's a goosebumps moment. That's a really? We can do that? And you're saying we can?
Yeah, we can. And not only that, as part of the building, we're going to have a floor that's going to be dedicated to innovation. As part of that floor, we'll be doing a lot of regenerative medicine. And by regenerative medicine, it's not only the way we used to think of it, which is trying to grow a whole organ, but it's really taking our own cells, our own stem cells, and making them do the work for us, healing ourselves from within. That has a lot of promise for a lot of very severe diseases, including diabetes, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, and many others.
You mentioned Alzheimer's disease. That's an issue personal to me, and I know for a lot of people, especially here in Florida, because there's 500,000 people in Florida with Alzheimer's, and obviously a lot more people who provide care. Where is that going, and how is Mayo being part of trying to advance research and treatment there?
When Mayo came to Jacksonville, we had to make a decision of what we're going to invest in research first. And one of the decisions made was in neuroscience. That decision has paid off. We now have here in Jacksonville on the Mayo Clinic campus what is arguably one of the best research departments for neuroscience in the country. As part of that, we invest heavily in creating cellular models for Alzheimer's, mouse models for Alzheimer's, but then also interacting with our patients in order to be able to understand what happens 10 years before the diagnosis, what happens 15 years before diagnosis, what are the processes that are going on, because that's when you can really intervene. And we're building up a knowledge base that is really exciting for the future. As part of this, we're also now constructing a new building. It's going to be called the Destination Medical Building, 4 stories, about 200,000 square feet. We'll be able to put in all our neurologists, our neurosurgeons, our oncologists in one place across the road from our science research buildings to be able to interact even more closely than before.
So you mentioned trying to make this area a destination location among the medical community. You mentioned we've got great hospitals, other facilities. We know MD Anderson is coming now. Does that help with that, or is it seen as competition to what you want to provide to patients?
Oh, no, it's certainly a help. You look at our city, and you look at what our city can provide, you quickly realize that we can do a lot, but we can also do more. And the more the more expertise we have in the city, the better it's going to be for us that live in the city, but also for the region. There are 37 million people that live within an hour's flight from Jacksonville. There are 37 million people that come to Mayo Clinic, can come to any other medical facility, and avail themselves of the expertise we have. The more expertise we have, the more synergistic it will be for everybody.
I want to explore at least 2 more topics with you, so stay with me, and you stay with us as well. We've got more to discuss here at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville on This Week in Jacksonville.
Golden Corral's 7-day shrimp extravaganza. Make your weekend shrimp-tastic. New garlic parmesan shrimp skewers, peel and eat shrimp, Southwest grilled shrimp, and coconut shrimp. Dinner's $13.99. Monday through Thursday, enjoy shrimp Creole, shrimp tacos, and more. Dinner's $11.99. Only at Golden Corral.
Cirque du Soleil invites you to immerse yourself in the world teeming with joy and amazement. OVO from Cirque du Soleil, playing October 5th to 9th at Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Arena. 3 performances added. Buy now at CirqueDuSoleil.com.
We wanted to prove the value of Nissan's Intelligent Safety Shield technologies.
Hey, you want to go for a ride?
So we enlisted some everyday experts.
I'm a firefighter. I'm a nurse.
With rear cross traffic alert. It worked. Blind spot warning, and forward emergency braking that could stop your car for you. Get to Nissan's Safety Today event, and for a limited time, save up to $2,500 on Altima, or lease Sentra just $139 per month.
We might be out of a job.
Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com today.
Who wants a hot dog? Don't yawn talk during your Memorial Day barbecue. Come to Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale. Right now, get Sealy Queen sets for as low as $299.99 and receive up to a $400 Visa prepaid card by mail on select Tempur-Breeze adjustable sets. Or buy any Tempur-Pedic Supreme HD mattress designed exclusively for Mattress Firm and receive up to 3 gifts free. Plus, get 0% APR for 72 months. Only at Mattress Firm.
This is Pastor R.J. Washington of the Titus Harvest Dome. Join us on Channel 4 every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. We're going to have a God time. Yes.
Every Hyundai dealer, every Hyundai in stock. One mega Memorial Day sale. All month long, your Hyundai dealers are giving you countless ways to save. Plus, America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. That's 5 years longer than the competition. During Hyundai's mega Memorial Day sale, get our best deals of the year. Buy new Sonatas with 0 APR for 60 months, plus $2,250 bonus cash. Buy new Elantras with 0 APR for 72 months, plus $1,750 bonus cash at your Greater Jacksonville Hyundai dealer.
From 5-star gourmet restaurants to laid-back fish shacks, from a meal with an epic view to an intimate culinary affair. If you can't find something great to eat in the Florida Keys, you can always order online. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Inside Eva Longoria's big weekend wedding. The guests, the seaside location, and what will the bride wear? Next Inside Edition.
Monday at 7:30 on Channel 4.
Final segment here on This Week in Jacksonville as we visit with the CEO of Mayo Clinic Jacksonville, Dr. Gianrico Ferrugia. One of the things I wanted to hear from you is, I understand you're considered kind of a leader in the field of individualized medicine. What does that mean?
First of all, there are three terms that are used about the same way. One is called individualized medicine, personalized medicine, and the president just announced a few months ago an initiative known as precision medicine. They really mean the same, which is to obtain as much information as you can from our own genes, for our genome, and then use it in order to be able to do better in terms of predicting who's going to get sick, how we can treat them better, and actually preventing people from getting sick. It's a really exciting era for medicine.
How does that work? Does it start when I'm a baby, or can it be anywhere along that continuum of life where you get my genetic information there?
So our genes we're born with, and we keep them. But there are many things that happen to our genes over time. So there are different fields that are around genomics. You can sequence at birth, and that's really important information, or you can sequence at a time when you are asking a specific question. We know, for example, there are a certain amount of genes that predict how you're going to react to medications. So if you know those genes, then you're much more able to be accurately give a person the right medication at the right time, at the right dose the first time. That's the promise of genomics, and that's what's being delivered at the moment through these initiatives.
So you said it was individualized medicine or personalized? And what was that last one?
Precision medicine.
I like that idea. That sounds right to me. I want my doctor to treat me in a precise way. It sounds like we're going to get it right if we do that. Let me also talk about this. I've seen some news reports about Dr. Keith Knutson's research, and that's developing a vaccine for patients with a specific type of breast cancer. So what's going on in that research, and maybe highlight for us what's happening there?
I'm glad you asked the question, because it really comes down to the essence of Mayo Clinic. Investing in research to have an immediate impact on patient care, and it's a great story. So breast cancer, unfortunately, affects a lot of women. About 1 in every 5 women who has breast cancer has a type of breast cancer known as triple-negative breast cancer. It's a type of breast cancer that you can deal with well with surgery, but if it comes back, you have slightly less options than other types of breast cancer. Our investigators found that the cells that make up triple-negative breast cancer require a lot of a vitamin called folic acid. Now, for folic acid to get inside that breast cancer cell, they have to go through the folate receptor, the receptor that binds folic acid to get into the cell. So what one of our investigators did, the whole team that came together, starting from our oncologists to our immunologists, to even graduate students that were involved, came up with the idea, let's create a vaccine against the folate receptor. Now, if we create this vaccine against the folate receptor, which we did, we then collaborated with a company that decided to move its headquarters to Jacksonville. And now we have a vaccine that we can give in a clinical trial after surgery for breast cancer. And what we'll be testing is it possible, and in our animal models, in fact, it is, that the moment that the cells that are malignant try to come back, then your immune system is now activated, recognizes that receptor, and blasts that cell and gets rid of the cancer.
It's been effective in the research so far?
It's been highly effective at any level we've tested, and now it's time to do it in a large clinical trial, which we've launched across the United States.
So how soon is that ready to deliver to my mom or my sister or whoever it is, my loved one that really needs the treatment?
Well, if you are enrolled in a clinical trial, you can do it right now. The clinical trial will enroll about 200 patients. We'll then analyze the results and then decide if it works as well as we think it will, then become, of course, generally available. But it's bigger than that. It's the whole field of immunology, of vaccinology, affecting not only infectious diseases, but cardiovascular disease, cancer, many other diseases that we not usually think of as associated with vaccines, but can be.
Right, yeah, so what you're telling me is this is kind of tip of the iceberg in that specific field.
This is, again, the fourth industrial revolution, taking that physical, biological, and digital together and creating hope for our patients.
Wow. That's awesome. What would you say is Mayo Clinic's primary focus today? And then we'll wrap up right after that.
Sure. So we live to deliver on the needs of our patients. To do that, we have to offer integrated care that incorporates research, education, and our practice all together, all under one roof, to make sure what we offer is validated. In other words, it's tested and found to be true. It's integrated. It's not treating a disease, it's treating you. It's personalized to make sure that what we're doing, we're not doing because it affects 100 people. We know it's going to affect you. And most of all, it's compassionate. And that's where the art and science of medicine come together.
Yeah, art. Great visit with Dr. Ferrugia there at Mayo. In the meantime, Senator Marco Rubio in Northeast Florida discussing an I-team investigation into Wounded Warrior Project. The nonprofit headquartered in Jacksonville is responding to a 4-page letter from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Wounded Warrior Project has raised more than $1 billion since its inception. Now the investigation into alleged lavish spending is raising more red flags for U.S. senators, and that includes Senator Rubio.
Their bluff has been called, the smoke and mirrors are gone, and now the Senate committee is making it very clear that they see through everything.
Wounded Warrior Project whistleblower Eric Millett clutching a 4-page letter from the Senate Judiciary Committee to the interim CEO and WWP board chairman Anthony Odierno. In the letter, the Senate committee found Wounded Warrior Project's claim that they spend 80% of all donations on veteran services was inflated, finding that 33% of that was free advertising and media, and that doesn't even include direct mailers sent to donors asking for money, which is also included. Combined, they believe the money spent on vets would be lower than 66%. They also found in 2014 alone, 71% of all program expenses went to sporting events. The next closest program expense, physical health and wellness, that only receives 17% of the overall budget. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who is not on the Senate Judiciary Committee, also told the I-Team he supports the inquiry.
But anyone who's out there raising money claiming to be helping wounded veterans and then is in fact taking that money and spending it on themselves, I think they deserve not just to be examined, but quite frankly, there should be consequences for that. So I support Senator Grassley's inquiry, and we'll see where it leads.
Wounded Warrior Project's response: we continue to maintain a productive dialogue with Senator Grassley's office. We look forward to answering his request for a more detailed explanation of how our programs and services provide essential support to wounded warriors. We're working to bring you conversations with Lieutenant Governor Carlos Lopez Quintero and with Rod Smith, the one-time leader of the Florida Democratic Party. Those interviews are coming next week. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air at Channel 4 and online with newsforjax.com.
At News 4 Jax, we're always covering the news, even when we're not on TV. Stay informed, on the go, and online at newsforjax.com.